he has been having a huge tournament. He's been the MVP, I believe, 3 times. He's joint as one of those players has been the MVP the most of the play days that we've had. Fear, respect. It's fear. Iana ban. Gone.
Just getting rid of that Iana, indeed. And answering the question instantly.
There's going to be a lot of yelling, as has been pointed out by our wonderful observer medics.
Wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's 2 teams that know each other. We know G2 is a very, very audible roster.
How Doki will play. What Doki will play. No one asks why Doki will.
Yeah, why Doki will play. Valkyrie pretty default ban. And then we have one left. Probably Izami or Mira. You know, Solace maybe even. There you go, Solace, the last one out of the 3. The newest operator that has been added to the roster is off the board.
Solace is really good for this map as well. You think of all the places you can hide drones. You think of all the places along the beams, in the plants. This is a nightmare for drone-based intel.
Benja is a copper, confirmed.
Oh,
just quickly swapped off. No.
Alamo is playing his grind.
Yeah, he's playing his grind. He's doing his best cosplay right here.
Yep.
As we're headed towards the kitchen, we're headed towards that first floor. Top floor control is going to be important here around the bedroom and the office. It's often where we see attackers try and take some control as well with both verticality in terms of, opening up the floor to relocate those defenders, but as well as opening up some long lines of sight so defenders do not have the opportunity to use verticality against you. A dining plant is normally what teams would go for here, and that takes you to the lobby, takes you to open up the walls, get fireplace under control, etc., etc. But without that prefaced here, we'll see how it plays out. As G2 has set themselves up, seeing quite a bit of a mix of traps going through in terms of the entry denial devices, the goo, poison mines, and that's a spawn peak already onto right. So it's a good start for G2.
Well, that's a way that we get things moving, I suppose. It's a bit of a start in a fight where you're kind of expecting that. Doki wanted to come out of this swinging, and Wolves haven't really had too much fate behind the fangs throughout this tournament at this moment in time. They've struggled in the gun game, really, more than anything. Let's see if they can try and match the pace. They said they have improved. They have. But they've only just eked on by through into this. The pressure from the grenades. Bounced and tucked in. It's close over the top of Virtue's there. Deliver the stop to P4. There's a spray onto the side of Virtue. Shinka goes down against Blur in the meantime. And that leaves us in a 2 versus 4. You assume Virtue's a bit too close to the fire to get back up. But can they secure him?
Mowgli should be able to go for that kill now. Takes down the Frostman as well, so he doesn't accidentally step into it later in the middle of a gunfight. Brings it to a 2-on-4 situation. A very quick round start here. 20 seconds in, the first kill already on the board. G2 here to play, here to basically try and, get into Wolves their heads as quickly as they possibly can. Of course, mentioned these 2 teams know each other through and through. Mowgli almost losing his life right there. Has to strafe back by. Takes a little bit of damage. G2 just staying patiently right now, because sometimes the best thing to do is just to do nothing. Is Mowgli about to get into another gunfight?
Don't follow.
There it is, caught out by Doki on the swing round, and that leaves a lot of time to think here for Bibu, and, well, it's a bit of a false start. You're on Chalet, you knew it was going to be a high-paced game, you knew that the pressure was going to be hot from what G2's delivered, and you've come in a little bit too cautious, I think, of, well, even what they might be bringing.
Flashbangs out, Bibu. Wall banged. Benja will take him down. It's 1-0 for G2. Great first start. Basically from the first minute onward, no real pressure anymore coming down towards G2. Due to, of course, that quick initial pace. Now we have a tech issue that needs to be resolved. So that brings us to a technical timeout, but it's also an opportunity for Wolves to quickly discuss what exactly just fell apart there so quickly, because they had an idea, they wanted to go for a take.
Yeah, everyone often does want to go for a take.
For Solarium, and then they got picked apart, like, so quickly. Just by swings. not being ready, not having the guns up.
For context of how close it was to Wolves not being here, the difference can be in some regards, in some ways, and from some lights, only a difference of about 3 rounds, in that they escaped the group on 4 points.
Yep.
They beat Dire Wolves 2 OTs, so 2 games went 8-6. If those had gone the other way to Dire Wolves, Wolves would have been out, Dire Wolves would have been through. It's the difference of that. It's so minor, and you think about the comparison of what Wolves should be, and that's the thing. Although they're saying they got better and better and better, there's been that little missed moment where we haven't had a full fight from them.
The thing is as well, like, we haven't seen Wolves win a best of 3 in ages, and
Yeah.
you know, and they came in now, they struggled in those first 2 games, managed to get a little bit of a break and then find themselves 2 best of 3 wins. That is going to be good for the mental. It's going to be building them up slightly here. At least give them the idea like, hey, we can beat these teams. We can get across with them as well. But that, of course, does mean that they need to continue that now or in the lower bracket if they don't do it quickly. Blur is looking to go for a bit of a cheap kill potentially coming through if they do rotate up onto the balcony.
It seems like they're paying a little bit more heed, a little bit more of a lockdown on the danger. Mowgli's got himself close in the small box at the bottom of the stairs, ready for the swing. The pings are there, and the pre-fire gets the connection. Mowgli gets the full read onto Doki. Benja, he's also being watched. This is what I talked about, drones being just so devastating on this map. There's so many little places to hide them and get these cheeky bits of knowledge, rotation and intel. Benja, he's cautious about making the dive across the top. He's still holding onto the top of blue for now with Blur. Kind of confident. We saw him move off to offer something else towards the swing of the guns, but otherwise, you find Wolves once again trying to find some control. There's Virtue caught under.
Very sloppy so far from G2. Those 2 players lost on the back of a drone and a quick swing. Benja escaping with his life, and he might not even have been fully aware of it. As another member of G2 falls. P4 does go quite low. Benja himself as well. Mowgli gets injured. Blur, 1v4 situation. Needs to ace clutch this if he wants to stay in it. Doesn't get very far. Rice takes him down over his shoulder from the fireplace side. And that brings us to 1-1. Allows Wolves to instantly just fight back, because that first round, Wolves was basically nowhere to be seen. They entered the building, but that was about it. And this second round, they were catching G2 off guard. Like, they were rotating around sloppily on G2's side. They punished them for it, and they do muscle that through into a round victory. So if this is how this continues to be, and if both these teams step up towards their winning round performances, this is going to be a good game.
You want it to be. Okay, we're biased. We're both EU casters. We have followed these teams for a long time. We've followed these players for even longer. It's that sort of thing of you want to see the teams be successful, but also you have to see where they were at before they came into this. As I said, you can only really sort of highlight the context of the performance, where they've been able to deliver the games, where they've been able to deliver the matches. If this was an inter-seasonal conflict, Wolves have generally been better. Wolves been terrifying, but as you said, it's not. It's a best of 3. It's this different environment where G2 performs better on LAN, and Wolves have a sad habit of not.
Yeah, so stage 3, just to lean back into that, 6-8 in favor of Wolves. Stage 2, 7-5 for Wolves. Stage 3 was a 7-5 for G2 though. So overall, Wolves is having the head-to-head record kind of going their way. But it is that G2 just has become a different beast as soon as the 6th Invitational started, as soon as Benja got added to the roster. Quick opening made into the snowmobile garage will allow them to, you know, just not worry about that for the remainder of the round. They can revisit that if they want to use it for an eventual take, but the rest of Wolves seem to be taking control off top first. Get rid of those roamers, get rid of the individual players that could provide an issue later on if you do go for an approach, and that's exactly what they do. Mowgli takes down LMAO as the first kill of the round.
Mowgli, the only one from the Wolves team that come into the day with a positive KD. He's going to see if he can try and keep pushing that, and he's against a lot of competent gunners, so you need him to be firing at his sharpest. Bit of a dip dive around there. The rotate comes away from Benja. He's able to win the fight on the window. P4 caught. Not quite able to get the catch he wanted, and instead he's able to slide his way, not all the way back to home plate, but he's definitely made at least second, and he's eyeing up third.
Verticality soon to be coming through, possibly. Top floor is still being cleared out. Drones are coming through as well. Default cam still up, so G2 is aware of the progress that Wolves is making. The trade that Benjamin made is going to be of great help, as Doki falling back on the staircase, I believe, due to a double drone in. Mowgli's going to try and go for the chase there. Barbed wire will slow him down, however. Doki looking to lean in back into the fight straight away, but he's not quite sure where Mowgli went, so doesn't want to be overextending himself to 2 or 3 different angles, because that is probably not going to be boding too well for him.
A bit of a pause, a bit of a patience, and a bit of Wolves trying to get themselves set up for some ideas. As we said on the previous round, they were able to hold these big rotates, get a couple of punchy kills from it, and then force it. But this is probably why we've seen this site be pulled here from G2. You can't really do that same mana. The C4 caught in the blind. Doki gets Mowgli, still stuck. Bibu has the air jabs utility and some support. The swing comes. There's the push. Doki gets one more out of it. And the first, okay, you don't see the C4 if everybody's blind, but the second really shouldn't have been his to take. And now the 3 versus 2 on the site. They're pushing down blue. There's some pressure on the main stairs. They've got the catch there on the close corner fight with Virtue. BB wants to swing it, and there it is. A great take. The second, he finds it as well. Blur does get Shinka, puts them into the 1 versus 1. Bibu on the back end of the pop mirror window, playing a bit of ring around the roses, around the wine. But who's been able to get the final drink of each other? Blur, he's behind you, and he just slips away.
Operators, you are out of time.
Wasn't quite sure where he was being chased from up until that last moment. Ran through towards safety. The time ran out, and the clutch is there. But they almost brought that back on Wolves. First of all, Doki going that aggressive. He gets flashbang, and he's like, if I stay here, I'm dead. So what's the best next thing I can do? Just run at them with the shotgun and hope for the best that I can pick up at least 1, maybe even 2 before I fall. Did that well, changed around, because suddenly you lose 2 players from that blue stairs approach, and, well, there's only 1 left. Not for lack of trying, though. Mowgli picking up those 2 beautiful kills, basically turned it back into a 1v1. But not enough to keep Wolves into that round and make sure they land it.
I mean, if you need a player to shine, Bibu's a good name. He is sort of an effigy for the team. He started the tournament quite slow. They couldn't quite get the pace. But you think of how many stages he's played on. You think of how many places he's been able to put a performance in when he was one of the big young gunners, when he was one of those big players many moons ago. The growth now is the possibility here, but G2, they eke on by, and Blur actually has one of the best survival rates of any player in the whole tournament coming into this. He has a habit of surviving, and that's pretty good to have on your backline support player.
You need to have someone that does it, right?
You need to have someone who lives.
Especially considering time is on your side. We might just either find first or get found here. Let's be swinging around the corner. That's Blur. Oh. It is Blur, yeah. The trade comes through. Somehow actually still hit his head.
Yeah, that is very...
I'm confused. It's like...
That was
what?
very confusing, yeah. Gets the catch, gets the down. But obviously one of those things that's tricky to call. Alamau, he's moving closer, but BB will get this generally uncontested. It's a gamble to sort of double down. P4's on the close window, so Doki was actually underneath it even. So, yep, Doki's not going to be able to get the rotate as he would like to. BB's holding off, though, expecting a bit of motion. So Shinka is coming around on a huge rotate as well. G2, though, isn't putting pressure onto it. They know they're in this sort of 5 versus 3 situation. They might be not knew that Mowgli was down.
No, they definitely weren't aware, and otherwise you don't really want to send another person out when that balcony is already taken under full control. And that brings us to a 3-on-5. Yes, there is some damage done to Wolves, but that is not going to be the main worry for G2. It's the amount of guns that are still up and running. Now, Doki's still on a bit of a roam. He's not on the site. There's an opportunity to come back, but I believe he was thinking about, you know, holding down anybody that came from the south, but Wolves have recognized this and have decided to go from north. They have decided to go for the repels and the windows that they could use. And C4 comes out, won't find anybody. Alamau actually spotted out ahead there, but again, no way to connect.
All the damage and destruction's coming underneath. That grenade was pitch perfect. Alamau pulled out of the room and forced off the fight. Virtue trying to do everything in his power to hold on. There's a bit of a swing underneath, and that's actually the diffuser drop by P4. They have a minute. They have a lot of pressure. They have another body, and they have a lot of control. Doki, he stepped his way back in to offer some support here. The flashes over the top. They got to pull and peel themselves back. Mowgli. There's one more. There's Doki in a firing line, and Wolves, they keep us level.
Good double entry coming in there from Wolves. They really were able to leverage their man advantage in the end there. And that grenade perfectly tossed as well. Basically, Alamau just temporarily, eventually, permanently out of that rotation, and you just start sending bodies in. That's what you do. Like, you start walking up the stairs, you start rappelling into the windows. Not much you can do against it. 2-2. And for those of you wondering, like, if we are going to be seeing many more rounds that are closed down to like the last 10 seconds, the average round time between these two, historically speaking, has been 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
That's quite a lot.
That's quite a lot. That's 20 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser in hand.
Oh no!
I did it.
Oh no! Oh no!
And the median round timer has been 2 minutes and 52. Median, bit of a different stat, but that just means, like, if you put all the round timers next to each other and you grab the middle one of that, that's 2 minutes 52. So there's a lot of rounds that do go a lot longer than 2:37.
5 seconds to go.
It's just a couple of rush rounds that bring down the average. Let's put it like that.
Attacker's objective is
These aren't rush rounds from Wolves. They're on attack, they're on Chalet, and what they're doing so far is actually sort of letting G2 throw themselves into engagements. There is a couple of swing-ins. You are having Mowgli step in as the entry, you are having these altercations happen, but they're holding flanks more than anything. They're making sure that there's multiple Wolves guns for a single G2 sports player, because they know G2 is getting a little bit angsty. They like to move, they like to play with this space. There's a reason a lot of them are doing very well in the kill game, is because a lot of them are trying to find people to kill.
When I was speaking to Helby this morning, he said that during all those scrims, they started playing a bit more like the traditional or the old Brazilian style siege, which is that, you know, people like to rotate around, people like to be in every single position. As B4 runs through, Alamau and Virtue pick up one. That was a rush attempt that gone wrong quickly and steadily. Mowgli hoped to find a reply, but he gets found himself before Virtue drops. The 2-on-4 situation now in favor of G2, looking to put back themselves on top.
Yeah, just after we talked about how Wolves had won those rounds by the control and the space, they tried something else. It's a different style of push, and it hasn't worked here. G2, they're very happy to sort of throw themselves into this. They're kind of eager, if anything, to spread out the kill game. Of only 14 players, of all 100 in this tournament, only 14 of them have broken over 100 kills. 2 of them are on G2.
That shows you the amount of pressure they've been able to deliver to their opponents. In terms of just gunners, you need to be careful of. Shinka on his drone will spot out one of those players, but you know, there's 1 minute and 5 seconds left on the clock. Wolves still pretty spread out. You have Shinka that now will be joining back with Bibu. He's going to try and make a unified push, but just to jump in from trophy window, I don't think that's going to be too successful here. So even though they're stacking up for it, are they? No, okay, they're splitting around.
They're changing up. I mean, there's 40 seconds. They have a drone at the top that's just been pinged out and caught, so they know if a rotate might come around from above them. They're going to go more towards West Main, it looks like, and try and pull something out. They have a ping on a player near a broken window, or where they think someone is, but Benja's actually touched on the other. Do they know? No. Benja able to pick up Bibu, and there's Blur with the last. Wolves.
Bro, I hit a nasty shot.
Oh?
Sure, yeah.
Bleep, bleep, beep, 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 beep. He hit a nasty shot. That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
They breached early wrong. Yeah.
It's always nice to have these little insights on the player communications so they can see how exactly things are going well or are going wrong. Right back towards the wine cellar. Now, this is where we saw a very early kill coming through from Wolves. The player on the staircase by the drone, pre-fire coming in. There's also Doki that went for that nice little, you know, C4 was fully blind, then went for the shotgun fully blind, and managed to get 2 kills out of it.
I mean, it's a brave play, and it's one of the ones where, I mean, the second you feel like
shouldn't have happened.
That was the swing whilst everybody was blind, and they got it. It was, but it was timing. It was reactions. It was swinging with a shotgun from a close range. You've got to try and, you know, slow-mo it, bullet time, and get that popped off. And those, I think, were the paramount moments where Wolves are still missing that connectivity with the pace that can be offered here. A couple of them have had huge rounds. A couple of them haven't had any yet, and that's the sort of blow here from the side of Wolves.
Yeah, P4, most importantly, currently still on 0. So is Shinka. You know, he's playing on that hard support. P4 is usually on that lurking role. He opens up room for Wolves time and time again, but not throughout this game so far. It's not like everything is lost. I mean, Wolves is still very much in this game. They have 2 out of the 5 rounds played so far, and, you know, they might just pick up a 3rd now as well. But if those 2 start showing up as well, it just becomes so much easier for them as Mowgli in quickly, right behind his drones. Doki, though, has not been droned out, I believe. Falls back after he gives away his position, but otherwise that could have been a free kill coming through. Oh, the C4.
Oh, the C4 gets one of them. P4 blown off the wall. Mowgli's able to fight back and at least get the revenge and the trade on the back of it, but still, you're looking at that unfortunate statistic. They've lost the twitch, they've lost some of the control. They might be able to try and drive down the traps underneath the razor blooms, the bandit wires. Unless that's already removed, they'll stay standing for now.
Taking care of the Capcan traps, making sure no more explosive is going to be doing too much damage to these Wolves players. Verticalities being set up as well now, just so they can get rid of players on the actual snowmobile garage area of the map. Spots are coming through, drones are being taken down. G2's doing everything they need to do to slow down the approach of Wolves as much as they possibly can. That's a... What's that, a floorbank? No, that's from all the way across on the actual back of the kitchen as they wanted to go and knife to keep a barrier. It's Benja that takes down 2.
I mean, that gun, it shoots very, very straight, but Bibu and Shinka shoot straight back, trying to dabble their way into the door against the Frost, but they've moved off a minute on, and you've still got the site itself to protect in a 2 versus 2. You cannot risk losing it all in a long-range engagement. Engagement.
It's
a new one. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Against big guns in the engagement, and that's the sort of split is. They pull back, the wall gets breached, there's Kiba barricades to knock through, it's going to make a noise, it's going to draw attention, you know it's not quick, but it allows that, the little dabble, they pull themselves back, the flash, the cover, they're going to still see if they can try and maybe slip this plant down, but if there's a crossfire, you've got 3 different angles on this swing. You've got where the Azami is, potentially the box that Bibu's cleared off and forced them off, and then the further away position of the Frost that's rotating back around the drop, the smash the barricade. They're planning with the cover just tucked on the opposite end. Do they know? Oh, they know about one. There's the next.
Well done from G2 there, even though they brought it back to a 2-on-2 on Wolves' side. What they did was a bit of peekaboo kind of gameplay.
Let's go, guys. What happened?
Let's go, guys. What half?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. G2, they know what they need to do. They know how they need to deliver this game. You're on Chalet, and if you're leading in with your defenses 4-2, you're in a pretty good position. You've also got to consider some of the things that are working on the side of G2 and that are going to work for them throughout this. Most notably, the entry statistic where, you know, Mowgli has been the entry pretty much continually throughout this tournament. He's double, roughly, whoever's next, which was P4, but P4's running at a minus, Mowgli's running at a positive. However, both Doki and Benja are over 30 on the entry in terms, and they're both being successful. It's, you know, it's dangerous on a map like Chalet where it's how you get in is often a big leader.
Now, over the 3 times these have played before, the top-rated player of Wolves, historically speaking, has been Bibu with an average rating of 1.4 over those 3 games. And the top-rated player from G2 was Citizen, but he's of course gone. Doki's the next one, but he's behind Mowgli as well. So Mowgli and Bibu really were always like the shining stars in this game. And they're doing their best right now. I mean, both on 7 kills. It's just that the rest of the lineup is not really coming along just as much as they want to.
Yep.
Cam.
I think you got it. Obviously, Iana, Doki, targeted, so straight on the extended barrel commander. Or is it extended barrel? Probably.
Don't know if it is.
You assume.
I mean, headshots, right? That's what you aim for. You don't need an extended barrel for that. You need less recoil and a higher rate of fire. It's a bit 50-50 right now. Like every attachment is being used, which is great to see, but it always leaves you wondering now, what is it they're running? Because it always used to be like a recoil.
Unless it's suppressor, that's quite quick to realize. Oh, talking of. Quick in, Doki gets one, Bibu gets one back. Okay, I talked about survival statistics before. For Doki being maybe the top rated player in terms of putting people down, he also has a roughly 20% survival rate.
Yeah.
He does his job, he gets out the building, and now he's going to watch cams and hope they can follow the wake.
It's often though with entry fraggers, right? Like they get in, they get one kill, they might get two, and possibly even three, but then they'll die. So it's like they're not supposed to stay alive that long. They're just supposed to make something happen. That's two keeper bearers under control of Benja here. Drone is muted. People aware of the fact that someone is coming up those staircases.
Yeah, they've sort of set up this shield in quite an aggressive spot. There's an echo drone inside library that was getting a bit of a read on their approaching players, but look at that. As soon as they get the call of Alamau as well and pressure onto box, he pulls back. He knows it's 3 points of pressure. Benja finds Rise, though. As they go for the swing, there's a spray through the soft. Alamau's trying to get a connection here. He's concerned. He's being watched from behind. There's still scrappy back and forth, but now it becomes a breach, an opening, and an angle that they're going to see if they can try and hold on to on the back. Mowgli rebuilds the balcony door. Alamau stacked up. A moment of silence as we can start to hear some of the role of attention played against Piano.
40 seconds. 4v3. G2 needing to get that plan down soon. The one player at the piano is definitely going to be a big problem maker. Also, of course, the Azami that's playing from the bedroom, going aggressive right now towards Benja. Gets taken down. Mowgli finds that kill, or at least the DBNO, but that is, with this amount of time left, an effective 3-on-3.
Yeah, it's going to make it pretty much impossible to get them back up. They've got to go for something. They've got to go for it sharp, and from that point onwards, it's a direct line, but there's two buried. Blur gets one back, a 2 versus 2. We've seen this a lot. It's a 1 versus 1. I'm not quite sure how the maths works out, but now it's just the plant is down. Can you try and piece it pulled back? They swing, they pre-fire. That one is Blur!
That's my clutch king!
I mean, fair enough. He is not shied away from being the last man standing.
Fucking jumped over in the pussy.
And you got to give credit. That was a heck of a snap through the soft to his left there.
90-degree flick, just
casual.
Casually on point there. Finding the round, making sure they extend their lead and take their first attacking round for G2. Up to dining we go. That's where it all started off. As G2 chose this as their first defense. Now they will have to attack it. And now are they going to be going for that south to north approach that I was talking about, where you take the verticality, you open up the wall, you try and play right behind the B-bomb chassis? Or are they going to try and do the same thing Wolves did by going in from Solarium, trying to take control of the bathroom, the bedroom, and
5 seconds to go.
see if you can maybe go for a nice little drop into the kitchen, go for a plan that way? Those are the two options you really have.
There's a couple of cheeky little options.
There's a couple of cheeky options, yes.
In a cheeky little game.
Long angles being set up there, so no rotation you just saw on the office towards the bedroom, but long angles. So that probably tells me they're not really too keen on holding on to it, but they are keen on fighting whoever's on the other side of the wall.
G2, you assume if this next round falls into their favor, they'll have a bit of a conversation here for the side of Wolves. They've got their harder half ahead of them. They've got a lot of the pressure, a lot of the stress, and as they sort of highlighted and alluded to on the desk, this 1-2 is a very good punch for G2. These two maps that are set up as the showdown there, width as a pool, is something that has done them so many favors throughout this tournament, and unfortunately the opposite is said of Wolves. The breach onto box. Blur, man of the moment, and the last is going to be the first here. Breaches and breaks as Mowgli falls back to the shield.
Just falling back to that next position, they still have those long angles in the bedroom they can use to try and fight whoever's on the other side. However, as Solarium is being opened up, that means that they need to be careful inside of the bedroom as well, because Virtue can just fire down a couple rounds through. Blue is being tossed up right here to provide an extra layer of defense as the balcony outside is now being utilized as well as G2 knocking on the front door, but P4 for a run out takes down Virtue, and that opens up the bedroom as an availability to be used again.
Alamau, he's creeping his way in and knocked right back out with Mogler, doubling it down onto Benja, and well, there's Doki trying to fight something, but a flawless is where Mowgli was.
So what they need, Wolves, because they were starting to, you know, get behind a little bit too much. So just that flawless round, an extra bit of confidence coming right through, because that defense, perfect, stood well. Nothing G2 could do against it. They tried to just walk in and gun them down, but the crossfires were there.
Attackers need to locate.
So this is the problem with G2. And it's a very strange statement, but I think everybody's aware of this. Sometimes they can get a bit overconfident. I'm not going to say that's what that was, because obviously that was just an attempt at a strap. This is me not saying that's what we've seen, but it's the worry of what you might see is the more comfortable G2 get into an engagement, and G2 fans know this more than anybody, the more sometimes things start to get a little bit slippy, a little bit dicey. They can go from huge clutch plays, huge coordination at the beginning. Just think, what does Fabian see that he likes, and what does Fabian see that you imagine that irritates him?
10 seconds to insertion.
Sometimes the second category comes in when they're being more successful.
Something about, you know, throwing rounds that should be easy wins. Not that that one was any, because that was very tough.
This is me putting all of that on it, of saying it was a good defense from Wolves, and the attack wasn't that. You know, G2 was step by step. We saw the break on the top. We saw them, and then at the point when things started to fall apart, you just have to try and throw more at it, go for the trade, or you have to restructure your entire attack, which if you've already spent too much is not going to happen. Blur, he was just checking to see if the audio behind was of a mute jammer. It was, so no breaking through that wall.
Not yet, at least. There's definitely ways around it, of course, by getting a grenade through the drone hole, for example, or someone taking blue under control and taking it out afterwards. E4 don't go aggressive with a shot.
There's Rise behind as well. They've got them pinned. They don't quite have the full bite. Alamau holds off, and there's Doki getting one on the back end. People does find Alamau with the shotgun, so he's still in the territory, and they have a bit of a call and awareness onto that. Rise, though, living up to his name, coming up around the back stairs, getting the free take as Doki pushes onto P4, though, and it's really just Doki surrounded by his colleagues being killed and not quite sure who he has to kill to stop it.
Rise just dropped all the way down, so it's going to be very difficult to catch him off now. Remaining players of Wolves all around the site, or in the site rather, going to be holding on. 95 seconds, it's a long time to just wait, so they need to be a bit active. They cannot just let G2 get the ground they want. And that's mostly what Rise is, I believe, doing actively inside of Blue. He's making sure that Blue cannot really be progressed by just giving it a shoulder peek every now and then. And that way you keep them to, you know, the usual breaches here.
There's the angle opened up. The big door will fall and be opened up to allow snowmobiles in and out, but mainly people and potentially planters and angles. Importantly, it forces the defenders to have to play themselves too cautious. A slow creep down Blue as the braking starts to cacophony across the top around the players inside the site, and with 50 seconds they can sort of build behind it. Oh no! Poor timing for Doki there. Checked it, went back with a grenade, and Rise, a fantastic connection with the head of the gunner that's already done a couple of bodies this work. He's pulled it on the top floor, he's down in the basement. Benja and Blur have to double it back and see if they can try and get this kit planted.
2v3, 30 seconds. The diffuser is in Blur's hand. He can go through. Benja already did drop in the connector area. They need to try and clear out the player right behind the bins, but before Benja can access him, he just goes for it, gets that kill, but turns it into a 1v2. Blur, not able to reply. A camera is going to be given away his position, 7 seconds, counting down. He's going to get swung on by Shinka, takes down that kill. And 5-4, 1 round away from evening things out.
I don't know what he said at first, but I know it was directed at Doki.
I know Doki doesn't speak French either, as far as I know, so he might not know.
Could have been Scottish.
Could have been. I don't
Do we
speak
know if
Scottish,
Rise
so-
speaks Scottish?
I mean, he does speak English, so maybe he just practiced his Scottish accent and words.
Okay, Wolves, not quite over yet, and one of the reasons is you have to look at the people that are popping off right now. As you said, Bibu, he was often the highest rated between these two engagements when these two teams hit heads. He is doing just that. Right now, you've had Rise step up massively into this game over the past couple of rounds. Mowgli was obviously the big fuel at the start to give them some of the fight that they had at the beginning. And to see the difference of these players from where they were to where they are now, it's almost like seeing the difference of these players in the league. Hey, remember when Rise went 0 to 12, was it? 0 to 11?
Yeah.
And then he came back to the next play day and went like 12 to 1.
Yeah, so, you know, you have like either you go really badly or you have really strong Rise coming through right there.
Yeah, whatever the Belgian is for all or nothing.
Alles needs.
Well, he's the first bit of that. All, not the Venets.
No, it's off means or, and then needs is nothing. So.
Okay. He's all.
Yeah, he is all right now.
Hey, a Blackbeard in the pockets of Doki. Not the most common scene operator. But we'll see, in the words of our observer, let him cook.
Let him cook, see what he's baking. See what he comes up with here. Zalamau takes a lot of early damage. He's being chased. That's a yokai as well. I don't want to really get him there. Flashbang coming through. Mowgli looks back. Yeah, there he goes. Gets the kill anyway. Wolves end this. As Mowgli does go down, but another kill happened elsewhere.
Yeah.
Did that one shot just down P4?
I think he might have been slightly injured. Maybe already? There was a lot going on at that moment in time. There's Benja in a position to clean it up, and they at least get the two bodies back. But once again, we see G2 taken a bit by surprise by Wolves' approach. They're more than happy to lean in. Kind of put a bit of the pressure to the metal. Alamau's been caught 2 rounds in a row. You look at, you know, how much Rise has stepped up. Unfortunately, on the other side, Alamau has dropped off. He was one of the 2 players that came into this game with over 100 kills. And he's not going to leave with much more than that after the first map if it keeps on this way. Benja's caught as well. Blur and Virtue, the support structure of the backline, has to try and lean back into this. Maybe piece a single player off, go for a pinch. But the way Wolves have often shifted, they're all back towards the side now. One in the bathroom, one in the bedroom, one in the piano. They've got a 3-cover hold. How do you try and isolate?
And this is the dangerous course if you scrim each other so often, and G2 seem to have been like superior in those scrims. They know they have so much footage to just go off of. As Rise goes aggressive, doesn't quite take down Virtue, drops down the hatch to keep himself alive. Blur goes for a jump in right into the frost mat, drops the diffuser in sight, leaves it only up to Virtue. And this could be a 50-second timeout leading into a tech timeout. And as Virtue's actually going to try and go for it, seems to be jumping in. Knows it isn't lost yet. Knows this is clutchable. Just needs to find the first.
Well, behind the shield, tucked in, and this is the really awkward thing about approaching this, as I said, with the 3 angles. Look at them all stacked up, ready and wanting to swing. 3 different places on the piano, the short wall, and why not a little bit wider as well? Wolves pull level.
I think a tactical timeout is coming in. I've written it down halfway through the last round already as a sort of prediction.
Well,
there it is.
yes.
Checking the key to take Blackbeard.
That's not trading them at all. Once they are playing their own good, giving away early. That's when they don't know how to play as a team. So if we abuse our knowledge of how to play as a team, do the split positions, and then do things at the same time, it's going to be so much easier for you guys to beat these ones. They're not playing good. They're relying on individual performance.
Yes.
So let's do it as a team, speed a little bit down, and then explode together.
Yeah.
All right, got it, boys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
Let's do this. You know how to call this, Carl. You've been calling really well this entire game. The individual decisions, stop with the hero plays, and then you're all fine, because you've been doing really good with the calling.
Let's go.
That's not a Fabian I've ever heard before.
He's an old, mature Fabian.
It's not screaming.
I haven't actually bumped into him yet. I need to try and
I have,
track
actually.
him down. Obviously, an ex-colleague of ours
Yes.
with this amazing stint on the desk. He came in like Mary Poppins. Taught us so much.
He came in, taught us a lot, bullied G2, and then
And then left.
hey, tell us how to do it then. If you bully us this much.
He was like a house guest that was like, yo, I'm here for a bit. Here's some cool
And they
stuff.
just didn't leave until he suddenly gone.
Yeah, and then we woke up one day and our lives had forever been changed. And we tried reindeer meat
Yeah.
that he brought into set one day. It was actually surprisingly good.
Was surprisingly good,
And told us a lot about Sweden, how it's the best country in the world.
according to him.
Well, I mean, yeah. Very convincing of some. No, but it's good to hear. It's kind of the right conversation to hear as well. We sort of said it before that Wolves are fighting in this because those big players you need to pop off are popping off. There's no two ways about that. You're looking at Rise absolutely coming back into this tournament in this game alone. You're looking at Bibu, you know, he's had a little bit more of a sort of up and up and up and up, but getting to the peak, getting to the precipice of it here, it's perfect timing for Wolves and G2. They just need to sort of try and remember that, well, we can play this as the team game. They are losing people to these random locations, these spread out positions that Wolves is punishing them for.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I mentioned it as well, like Wolves, of course, they always struggled in their best of threes. Now they've won 2. They're starting to get a little bit of that confidence in them.
Yeah.
And they're playing against a team they've scrimmed over the 15 maps right before the 6th Invitational. That confidence is going to be even more skyrocketing right now because they know them through and through. They know these tricks. They know where they enter. They know how they like to play. And what do? You just stop it. You just get in the way of it. And that's exactly what they've been doing. Yes, those are individual picks. As Fabian mentioned, you can work around it.
Yeah.
But this is just fueling Wolves right now to basically get into it. This might have been like the best opponent for Wolves, just given their history as well, to start off the playoffs with.
It's the really strange thing about Wolves is the best opponent for them is someone that they know too well, but not BDS.
Yeah, as long as not BDS, and they know them well, they're going to be fine.
Because they're so fearless against people that they know, unless it's BDS, where this fear, this mental game just sort of falls away. But against teams like G2, M&M, Heroic, I think we'll generally see them perform better. There's Doki gone. Mowgli gets the lead in here. Rise and Virtue, I believe, have a bit of a scrap, and they suffer on the way out.
Razor Blooms have been doing quite a bit of damage right there as Alamau now sneaking up to Fireplace Staircase, hoping to find 1 or 2 players. I believe a drop might have come through already, but as a player pro, does he know? No, he does not.
Oh, no! Oh, no! There it is! And it's all sort of falling apart here on the back end of the blue stairs. It was a single lying down position, and he just could not piece together where he was suffering from. There's a bulletproof camera, I think, getting the full watch on them there. I'm not sure if Virtue's...
That's rolling down, I think.
Yeah, he was concerned someone would swing on the back of it, and to be fair, they have been, so fair enough. Look at the time. How many seconds on the clock?
It's 20 seconds on the clock, diffusers in hand.
What are you going to do here? What would Pengu do? Well, he might not do that. Drop right into the waiting more of the players underneath. There's 2 bodies either side. The last is on the jukebox, and Wolves...
On les baise.
Allez là, encore un.
En fonction de Victor, comme ça.
Let's go. I'm so much better than you, man. Wake up. Toi, t'as pas été fat boy.
Focus, on va où là?
Go kitchen.
Allez les gars, on continue comme ça, c'est très bien là. Allez. Kitchen. Et en fait, les gars, j'ai envie de prendre 2.
Quoi?
They're happy to go kitchen.
I think Bibi's got a bit of energy about him.
Yeah, I think so as well. Something about, I'm so much better than you. I don't know who he's shouting at, but I mean, if you're looking at the stats,
I think
13
all of them.
kills, let's see, better than Blur, LML, Virtue, and Doki right now. So he's definitely doing better than a lot of them.
That's the sort of thing right now is Halamau has unfortunately been shut out of this map, of this engagement. He's really struggled to get his teeth into it. Doki and Benja, they're putting themselves in, and you think, well, what's currently missing from them? And that's it. That's the third gun that's been popping off throughout this group. And, you know, it's the current shape of it. It was always going to sort of be the driving, where Virtue can fall back into that more sort of flex support roles, allow Benja and Doki to go off and gun, go off and do what they need with the support of Alamau. And it's just unfortunate this time round that they've met up with Wolves that are playing like Wolves. They're so ravenous for these engagements against them.
They're hungry. You can see it. They want to prove everybody wrong because everybody's like, should be such an easy game for G2 up against Wolves. They see that as well, but they are so passionate about this. They are getting back into that. They want to prove everybody wrong. And so far they're showing that this needs to be a very well fought victory for G2 if they want to take it on this map, if they even want to be taking the game, because Wolves currently are a strong team to go up against. Now, Wolves just holding tight. 2 minutes still left on the clock. Keeper barriers are being set up. G2, what are you going to do about it? Because you want to take that top floor control, otherwise you wouldn't be sending all these people up. But this is exactly what you did the last time around, and, you know, that's a flawless round you went up against at that point.
You have to give credit as well to how Wolves have brought back from this. It was a 5-2 deficit. They didn't take a timeout. They just trusted. Look, that first, you know, you're losing in a game, you go onto the other side and you lose the first round. That can be such a big mental breaker. And they were like, this is still part of the process. We can still rebuild from this. They come out with the flawless, and then they have been flawless ever since. And that is terrifying on the opposite end. P4, loose and underneath, down, waiting for maybe the rotate up the main stairs. Doki, he's expecting a fight over the top. You can see the rotates coming onto the back end of Virtue. They're sort of going for a pinch, but P4 might be the surprise factor. Look where the kid is. Look what Blur's doing. If he gets caught from behind, it can be devastating. Hot pressure over the top. The drone's given the lead into Benji. Doesn't quite get the snap. Mowgli suffers. Doki find Rise, and finally G2, for the first time in a while, gets to celebrate a proper entry statistic. Bibu is just going to tuck himself around. He doesn't want to be entirely caught out, but he doesn't want to entirely give the territory away yet. He's sort of still making a statement, and he knows there's danger on the rotate.
Keep taking a bit amount of damage as well. Just hit around the corner right now. Verticalities are being created with breaching charges. P4 hiding, hoping to not be spotted. Coming in from the back, hoping to go up. Alamau takes down one. That's going to be the reply potential. This is quite a few shots, and that means Benja still lives. Aware now that the back is going. It's a double take over the top coming through, but the plan can go down right now. They need to be quick on stopping this.
They're going for the intel. It's behind the chassis. He can't get the shot because Virtue's there. The camera doesn't do enough. Blur. Post-plant, they threw everything at the chance of a retake over the top, but they were a couple of short steps away from getting it locked in, and it would only have taken one bullet there from either of the two players to stop that. It's a swing on the door that takes us to OT, though.
Good coordination with Upwin. Really beautiful.
I killed them both, man, with fucking music.
Happy that they can go on, but the energy's not quite there yet compared to what we've seen from Wolves. They are focused. They know they need to win this map. They know they need to get back into it, and especially Alamau, of course. He's been calling well, as Fabian says. He's been making the right choices. It's just that he keeps on being picked up when he's alone, not really being able to put much on the board. He got a kill now, but you know, you want to see him do a little bit more here. But G2, they bring it to overtime, and that turns us into a best of 3 in rounds.
All right, we're down to a best of 3 in our best of 3, the first map. And it is, you know, it's still the threat that we're on to Cafe next. It's still the threat that this is far from over. Wolves, not that they need to win this. I'm not going to use that much imparted knowledge, you never really know, but they definitely want, it would be a lot better for them if they could. More so than obviously if G2 could. I think at this point there's no more points. There's no more 4 points, 3 points, 1 point. It is someone moves on, someone goes down.
That's it. It's just as simple right now. We scrap the whole point system. Either you live or you, well, get knocked down or get sent home. It's one of the 3 options, depending on where in the bracket you are. Doki going up, Claymore being set up below as well, near gaming. G2 looking to be taking the top floor into control quickly. That's the rotation, and Doki might be able to catch off. It is the lean back in from Mowgli, who gets that first kill. I'll be happy with that on the side of Wolves, who overall have been leading in the entry department. A total of 8 entry kills have gone their way so far in the 13 rounds that we've had an entry.
G2 once again on a bit of a back foot here, and unfortunate. It's Leading into Wolves, still on a defensive tear through those 2 rounds that slipped away from them, but with how many were threaded together, I would still say that one is the break in momentum, it is not the stopper. Mowgli sets himself around stock on the back end. The calls are coming through. They're just sort of tucked. Benji doesn't want to get swung from the opposite end because the drone, gives the idea that you're being watched. Who knows who else is going to swing on you? That's something Wolves have been doing very well, is moving and manipulating. And in fact, he doesn't want to sit there and stay. He's going to pull himself back. Another stun comes out from the Echo drone. Mowgli moves around the back end, gets one, pulls himself further away, tucks back in. Benja, once again, has to be cautious. It's almost like they're being hunted by the Predator. It's just grab someone, pull them out, you're being watched, they're invisible, and now there's a minute 20 and you've lost 2 of your mates.
It's not just that, but Benja wasn't able to hear the phone call because he was constantly getting stunned by the yokai drone, which means that probably wasn't even aware of the fact that he was still being hunted at that point. Just thought of it as a bit of a nuisance that he had to deal with at that point. Things coming through. Virtue not able to connect it. Needs to jump in if he wants to pick up the kill. No, B4 goes off just in time. Rotates around a little bit. It's a 1-man advantage. So Benja will get one. Mowgli needs to try and lean back in. It's a second for Benja. He just gets G2 back into this round.
Well, can they try and build behind this? Benja, the recent addition, the pickup and replacement of Citizen, is seeing if he can try and swing some numbers here. 30 seconds, Mowgli gets 1, gets 2. Blur locked down, it's all got to be Benja. There's not a way up there. And Wolves once again are on map point.
Putain de merde! Putain de machine!
One kill away from a Mowgli ace there, I believe, as we see them all happening in the kill feed. Almost picking it up. Just not the last kill, but that doesn't matter. He did what he needed to do together with the yokai drone that Rise was providing him information with. Just the constant stuns. And G2 not dealing with that drone, having no clue where they're getting stunned from. Now again, map point against them. Headed towards the kitchen and dining themselves as well. They have found success there twice. Hoping to bring this to a 7-7 as a result.
I mean, they've done it before. That's the tricky thing, but as I said, momentum is still rolling in the favor of Wolves right now. Them being able to capitalize upon it and put it on their attack. Can they? They've risked one quick attempt. But when they had a little bit of control on their attacks, things were pieced together pretty well. As I said, they were happy to sort of sit and punish G2. I don't know if that would work right now. It's sort of that risk-reward strategy from G2. Are they confident enough that they can go a bit adventurous and have an explore and not be punished for it and trust in themselves? Or are they a bit concerned they might meet the fired-up sort of prowess of Mowgli, of Bibu at the minute?
Also, P4 and Shinka both have been able to get back into the game after we gave them, you know, a little bit of a pep talk here that they normally do better and they really need to if they want to see Wolves to be successful. That was at 3-2. Now it's 6-7 for Wolves. Those two stepping up. Elamau still a little bit behind, but he's, of course, being that IGL right now. He's making sure G2 is still in this at this point in terms of making the right calls. And he's hoping he made the right one now, and he's making them throughout the round. 2 minutes 20 on that clock. Wolves starting to enter from below. Drones coming through, a network being set up. They want to know where everybody is. It's Doki. He went adventurous, didn't quite connect anything there. So that's no harm. Also no gain.
Ever since that very first round where they suffered from the swing out early on, it seems like Wolves, they sort of learned the caution needs to be paid. Unfortunately, not well enough. Mowgli gone. Benja still on a drive, gets a huge take, tucks himself up to the top of blue as well, waits for maybe some other pressure, has the support structure not off too far in Alamau, and that means Wolves have to try and force from multiple different angles. They're going deep and underneath, hoping for the hatch catch, I think maybe up the main stairs in the fireplace area as well, and you can see G2's just trying to get the first step in. There's the swing, there's the push, a bit of attention. They're sort of saying, this is where we are. You want to come fight us, as they can put the pressure above here. Now they've got him cornered. Now they should get the kill. He's holding on, but as I said, Wolves, they were circling.
hunting like a single pack they are. They're trying to make sure that they are coming through, working together to clear out these players, but the problem is 60 seconds left, no gain on the actual site. That all needs to start happening now as they try and take over the top, but also need to be taken horizontally onto that site. You see Shinka dropping down with that diffuser. Rise is setting up some claimers just to protect the run out, and that's potentially what he will remain doing. Just stop anybody from that top floor to interfere with the plan that Wolves is trying to bring up here as the time still ticks down. P4, he's about to be finding himself into the side as he opens up with his breach charge.
There it is, they're angling up towards the plant. 30 seconds though, and it only takes one thing to fall out of place at this risk. Oh, Shinka tears Virtue off with only a single smoke canister used at that point. You've got a C4, you got some support, and you got Doki on the second story. Alamau gets an important frag, but Bibu gets one just as important back. They're trying to smash their way through to get this kit planted. Blur is still tucked on close. He's hoping and praying that he can just wait this timer out. This really should be Blur's to pick up, and we are going all the way.
Yeah, I fucking bottle whipped that round.
Blur just hiding in that corner early on. You saw the breach came through on the side, the exothermic went off, and he's like, there's only one place I can go. Little sidestep behind this wall, just wait until that plan goes down, because if you do not move, if you do not fire, if you do not get droned, no one will know you're there. And the cover will be at kitchen rather than on your corner, your little area you're hiding in. And that's where you can just step up and take down that diffuser planter. Brings us to 7-7, all the way to 15 in map 1 already. This is proving to become a potential fun series of 45.
Are we going all the way, Des?
We might be. Who knows? I mean, these teams know each other through and through. Again, they scrimmed each other for 15 maps right before the 6th Invitational.
Yep.
It's like, that's what makes this game so dangerous for both these. G2 was confident they could take them on easily, but now Wolves, you know, Wolves got past, they fighting back. And that is proving to be problematic here for G2.
Throughout this tournament, Wolves have been in the OT position 3 times, and they've won every single time. Twice against Direwolves, one against Liquid, to clinch that series. At the same time, it's not been as successful, but it's common for G2. 1 win, 1 loss in OT. The statistics obviously could change for both of them at this moment in time. It's the pressure on Wolves at this point, and maybe on this entry statistic. We talked about the importance of it at the start and how for G2 it has been exceptional. They've had a lot of whips to it, a lot of success. There's been a big drive into their rounds, but throughout this game it has not quite matched the sync and the step of the rest of the tournament for them. It's familiarity for you. Can they just try and keep some of the part and pace? Benja, 17-11, has got a lot of that in the recent rounds where Doki and Alamau have been quieter. Benja has made sure he is heard. Suffers. Grenade doesn't quite get the swing. Pre-fires the angular break from alongside, and you cannot risk losing him at this moment.
And you're going to make sure you do not fall for the same tricks that G2 just deployed up against the Wolves. It's minute 40, the wall already opened up to the site, so, you know, they could just try and run for the B-bomb side and go for a plan out there. There it is. Oh, the impact trick stops it from happening. And that means there is no hard breach left on Blur, there is no hard breach left, period, on the side of G2, so that is going to be making this a lot more troublesome. They need to go for kills here quicker than trying to get that plan down.
This is maybe the longest we've had all these players alive at this point. They've putting the pressure on. The Florist drone buys them a bit of growth, a bit of support, pre-fires the close angle. They've got control of a shield, but do they know the player close to the right? Oh, they will in a moment. It'll get blown open. They're just tucked round. He's not been checked, just down to his left-hand side. They're lying, they're waiting. There's Rise, caught out. There's another one, falls, and Bibu pops up. He was the surprise factor. They didn't quite get the drone. They picked the catch back up. It's not at least an entire disaster, but P4, he's around the back and shoots a little bit premature, finds one on the end of it anyway. 30 seconds, and Wolves are refusing to let anything be comfortable here for G2. It's a scrappy engagement round the side of a couple of bits of things that don't take bullets too kindly, but look at where G2 are. They've got 20 seconds. They're having to play a dangerous scrappy fight as the diffuser still has to make its way down towards the site itself. There's a free catch, an unaware player slips in, but with Shinka holding the back line and the verticality still in the pressure, they have to try and isolate P4. He hops. He's round the back, he's able to find the kill. It's the Maestro, it's P4! And Wolves take Chalet!
They take the first, they managed to hold on to that last side, barely, but they held on by sending people back up top, by keeping them in that fight, by trading. Something Fabian mentioned during their timeout. They're just hiding, they're getting these individual picks. And that's how they get the better of you. Wolves 1-0 over G2. What was it? Only 12% of the viewers at home believe they were able to do it?
I mean, probably even less of the talent, let's be honest. In Wolves, they proved a lot of people wrong. Let's see if they can try and finish the statement after a quick break. We'll be back with